is good, YouTube? Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis coming to y'all with a quick video. I wanted to let you guys know I got some new merchandise available, not just t-shirt anymore. I got different type of t-shirt, different type of shirts and logos that you can purchase on my spread shirt, and also hoodies now. We have expanded and added more to the channel and more merchandise for the brand. Thanks for supporting. It will be in the description and the links will be in the comment section below. Thanks for helping me and supporting the movement. Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis. I'm going. What is good, YouTube? Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis. Coming to y'all with a quick video. We're going to talk about the Detroit Pistons, a team that is in a place that many teams do not want to be in. And that's in a situation where your best player, we don't know if he can stay healthy. We know what he's capable of when he is healthy, but he just don't have enough around him right now. And even though you do have Sekou Doumbouya, a guy that has Sekou Doumbouya, who honestly has upside to be something special, but he's far away from that right now. And the Pistons knew that once they selected him. And at the same time, one thing I will say about the Pistons, they took a gamble on Sekou, a guy that had very raw talent when they drafted him. And he's a guy that's based off the potential and the upside of what he can be in the future. But other than that, they did get a good pickup with Christian Wood. A lot of people like Christian Wood, a guy that beat the odds, worked hard, never stopped working, found a way to continue to make a name for himself. To a lot of people in the league know who he is right now, and he's on pace to get a good contract, which he deserves for all the hard work that he put in. He's a guy that has been developing as a rim protector, a rim finisher, a guy that's been able to space out the floor from time to time, not where he needs to be, but he has shown potential that he has a bright future in that area too. And then you look at the rest of this roster. They got some players that can play, the Tony Snells, and obviously you have Don McCarr, who I want to talk about a little later. You have Luke Kennard that shows that he was a solid pick, an impact player at where he was positioned at. Not a superstar, not a franchise guy, but a guy that's productive on a cheap contract and really is not going to really warrant a lot of money. And then you have Don McCarr, a guy that's 23 years old, legitimate 7 feet, beautiful wingspan and mobility, hasn't been able to live up to his potential at that number 10 spot. Detroit thought that they can find something special by giving up really nothing for him and giving him a chance to eat up some minutes, get up some playing time, get up some more shots. I thought Thon was a guy that really wanted to prove himself in the league. He asked to be traded from the Milwaukee Bucks to go to Detroit so that way he can go to a situation where he can get more playing time, he can get more minutes. Not only that, they traded Andre Drummond, their center, a guy that has been loyal to them, a guy that played hard and gave whatever he could, even show frustration when losing with his organization. And he's been there long, and now he's gone. But at the same time, Don McCarr hasn't shown that he can knock down shots consistently from anywhere on the court. He still hasn't shown that consistency defensively. And now he looks like a guy that is always going to be known of what he can be instead of what he really is. And I'm not saying that to diss Don McCarr. I'm just saying that because I was a person that liked it, Don McCarr. And even when he was working with Kevin Garnett, a lot of people say so much high praise for him, and he hasn't been able to do it on the NBA basketball court. And he still do have another chance to prove that he can be a starter. He can still prove that he can be something special. He can prove it to himself that he deserves to get more money and more playing time. But this may be the last season that he might be looked at a legitimate starter and future star. And a lot of that is because he never played well enough to garner that. And he might be losing that opportunity the next season. And at the end of the day, there's nothing he can really do about it. Because once a league puts you in a situation or they put you in a role and they feel like that fits you, it's hard to break out of that role, and it's hard to get a different role unless you work even harder and get to that level that you should be at already, which he hasn't done. But the good thing for Detroit is we don't know a pick that they're going to have, so they can get a higher pick in the future when the lottery does come, which means they can potentially be the number one team to get a guy like Hayes, to get a guy like Anthony Edwards or LaMelo Ball. I think those guys won't really help the team right away. as they are flawed, just like a lot of players on this roster. And even though when you are Detroit, you basically are looking for a future star because you're in a situation where you basically rebuilding, and the biggest asset you have is Blake Griffin. The problem with that is Blake Griffin hasn't been 100% this whole entire year, and he has been breaking down each and every year. And even though I'm a Blake Griffin fan and I really was supporting him last year, I picked him to make it to the playoffs. I picked him to be an All NBA player, and he did all that last year, and it was a good year. But this year has been a full tape. He just went all the way backwards, and I know injuries out of his control. But what I will say about Detroit is in this draft, they potentially can move up to first. They can potentially get into the top three, the top five, and they will be able to get a piece that they can use to build. Because, like I said, when you look at this roster, there's really no pieces outside of Wood, Sekou, and Thon that can really have that upside as a superstar guy. Saddest part about this draft is they don't really have too many superstars in this draft or potential to be them. And if Detroit misses out on that top three, they may be forced to take a guy that they don't want or don't really need, which is unfortunate because they in a situation where they need somebody to be a cornerstone and a pillar for them to build this foundation on, which they do not have right now. But when I do look at this team, I do see guys that can potentially be special for them, especially if they lock up Christian Wood. You got you really don't need a big here. I think you go with a guard, especially Anthony Edwards. He has high upside if they can get into that top three. If not, you can always get a guy like Killian Hayes, a guy that can handle the ball, operate in the pick and roll, knock down long threes, get to the basket, really give you somebody that can handle the ball and have some upside to be a special type of player. And you still do have the Luke Kennards and the Langston Galloways that can shoot and space out the floor. And I said Christian Wood can potentially be a forward spacer. You have Tony Snell. You have a guy like Derrick Rose that can play that point guard position if you want Hayes to play the two guard. And if you want him to play the point, at least he has that upside to be a potential playmaker and scorer at the NBA level if you can't crack that top three. And if he falls out of the top five, he'll be an excellent steal because of his upside. You have Isaac Okoro, who is a defensive guy with upside too. The problem with him is his offensive game may never be, and this team is a team that needs offense as much as they need defense, just because they don't have enough reliable talent to win right now. But the best part about being Detroit is you are far away from being where you need to be, so there's no rush. So getting a lot of these guys that are projects, or getting a lot of these guys that are potential stars, is not going to be a bad thing for Detroit because they're not in win mode right now. And even though they haven't really built the right foundation in years, as they have never really became a real serious threat, even with Blake Griffin, and even without Blake Griffin, with Reggie Jackson and Andre Drummond together, and they did make the playoffs last year, they haven't really been a legitimate championship contender in years, and probably over a decade, if you want to be honest. So I can really see them taking a gamble on a lot of these young guards. I think they should go for a guard to give them some scoring in the backcourt. And if they can't go for a guard, they do have guys like Devin who can be a legitimate wing for them. That'd be a good upgrade for them, considering that they don't really have a legitimate wing that they can build around. And he is 19, he's young, he has perimeter shooting ability, high upside. And I think that he'd be a great fit for them to give them that wing that they've been looking for years and give them that shooting at that position. Like I said, I also like the Killian Hayes for them. Also, they can even take a gamble depending on where they get their pick, and they can get Cole Anthony, a guy that's not a defender but a guy that's a competitor, gives them scoring, gives them floor spacing off the ball, gives them ball handling ability to create a shot in the pick and roll for guys like Thon and guys like Christian Wood, but also can give them scoring to give them more space. So that way they can roll to the rim, whether it's in transition or setting the screen or even slipping the screen. So it's guys that they can get. Cole Anthony obviously is not a guy that you look at as a superstar at this point in his career, but he is a guy that you know what he is and you know what he can bring to the table. Another thing is you look at other guys that they can take a gamble on. I think it'd be more risky as they are far away from being a guy that can really be there, which just means they have huge chances of being buses. And you really don't want to do that when you don't have that much potential and stars already on your team. So once they lose Blake Griffin, this is going to be one of the worst teams in the NBA, and they're going to have to rebuild all the way from where they are now. I understand why they took the gamble with Blake Griffin. It didn't pay off as they lost a lot of their pieces already from that team, and they never was a real threat to be a championship team anyway. And it's going to be hard. They might even have to lose out a little bit to get off that Blake Griffin contract, which is unfortunate because they did it to get to a better position and it didn't happen. But other than that, it's some guys, like I said, that can really help this team in the future. But this will be a good draft for them to get that foundation guy to add another one next season. It's not one player in this draft that's going to change the fortune of this Detroit Pistons future, but it's a guy that can really help them go have a better future when they add more pieces around whoever they select in this draft. And like I said, this is a team that should go as far as away for that huge risk, that diamond in the rough. They should go away from that and get somebody that can produce and get somebody that can really be more of a sure thing with upside. Not just take a huge gamble like they did with Sekou. Get somebody that's a little bit more proven, that still has that all-star, superstar potential, potentially, depending on how you develop them, and then add more pieces throughout the other drafts. Don't try to make a big trade. Don't try to sign a big free agent. Just stay the course, stay rebuilding. You're going to take a couple lumps along the way. But hey, that's just part of the game, especially when it's hard to get players to Detroit and there's no real big there's no real superstar players on the market right now. And even if it was, they don't have the assets right now currently to get another one to play with Blake Griffin. And Blake Griffin is at that point in his career where you rather trade him and get away from his contract because he's not going to change the fortune of this team into a contender either. And even if he could, you don't have the assets and pieces to put them around him so that way you can turn this team into a contender anyway. So at the end of the day, that's all I got to say. Check out my website, analysisplayground.com, link in the description, comment section below. Check out my Facebook page, analysisplayground.com. That will also be in the description. Like on Facebook to show support. Thanks for everybody that liked already. Thanks for everybody that continues to like the videos. If you haven't liked already, can you please like and share? Other than that, thanks for people that liked already. At the end of the day, all I can say is I make videos just like this each and every day. So if you love NBA content, I make discussion videos just like this. I also do break down players, and I also do break down rookies in their game as they play in summer league and throughout the season. And I also do cover trade deadline, free agency, NBA playoff predictions, summer league, and I also do preseason picks and awards. So if you love the NBA, this is the channel for you. Comment, like, subscribe, and become part of the family. And other than that, that's all I got to say. Quinn Wade, basketball analysis, I'm gone. And let me know what you guys think about the Detroit Pistons.